What's up, guys? This is Rob at Rule of Two Review, and today I discuss Destiny's crazy high budget. All right, well, it's good to be back. Have some pretty cool news to talk about today. Interesting news, I should say. But first, I just have to touch on the one thing. Somehow, in only the last 2.5 weeks, I have managed to obtain another full 100 subscribers. I just passed 300 subscribers today, which is insane. It was only about 2.5 weeks ago that I had managed to hit 200 subscribers for Rule of Two Review. And bear in mind that that took 6 months, which I felt good about. I don't want to make it sound like I wasn't proud about that. I was very shocked and surprised and couldn't have felt better about hitting getting 200 subscribers only in 6 months. But in the last literally 2 weeks, I've gotten a whole nother 100. So what took me 6 months to get, I managed to basically do in only another couple of weeks. So I don't really know how that happened, but I couldn't be more grateful and thankful to you guys. So anyone out there who's consistently joining and discovering Rule of Two and seems to be enjoying what it is I do, thank you so much. I know I've done it a lot on previous videos, but it really feels great. I'm glad that you're loving what I'm doing, and now I'm going to go ahead and get to the good stuff. Okay, so I haven't really been quite sure what to do with this news or how to process it, because it's like not a good thing, nor is it a bad thing. It's such a unique scenario that's happening here with the game Destiny. It was revealed just over the last few days, confirmed by Bobby Kotick of Activision, that the budget, which encompasses a couple things, and I'll get into in a minute, but the budget for Destiny, which we know is coming out later this year in September, is apparently $500 million, which is above and beyond the most expensive game ever made, or I should say the highest budget for a game's development ever. That is insane. That is more than like any movie ever. No one movie, even Avatar or any of the Lord of the Rings or Star Wars movies, none of that stuff has ever cost that much money. So that's insane. But what are the real details and what does that money really encompass? Well, the interesting kind of spin on the facts is that figure encompasses more than just the actual development and creation of the game. It's a lot of things, marketing, royalties, the actual packaging and the retail structuring of the whole thing, the infrastructure of the persistent online world. It's literally all of those things. And you can find many articles relating to this topic where they mention these exact things. This has been a quote from Activision from Bobby Kotick. It is things like marketing, packaging, royalties, stuff like that. So it's the entire budget of the game. Now, this is not a new thing. In the gaming and in the movie space, and really any kind of product of this nature, there's always a larger budget than just what it takes to create said product. So every movie has like its filming budget and casting budget, costumes, special effects, everything that actually creates the movie. And then there is always like a marketing budget. And then if it's based off of a property or something, then of course there are royalties being paid to the different independent entities that have stakes or part ownership or creation of that property, whatever it is. Like, for example, when Michael Bay makes a Transformers movie, a lot of the profits and everything that's gone into creating that is also royalties being paid to Hasbro, for example, because Hasbro owns the Transformers brand, the actual brand. Same with stuff like Marvel Studios or the Tolkien estate with the Lord of the Rings movies and yada yada. And of course with games, if you're adapting something into a game. So when it comes to Destiny, somehow, there's a few things that are really confusing to me on this. Somehow this whole game and all of those different encompassing factors equals $500 million. So that's more than I would really think that it should or could be, but that seems to be the deal. And there's, again, more details about the game that do sort of make sense when it comes to this stuff. The other thing is I don't really understand maybe why this news has actually become news. Because the fact that we have to talk about, well, the marketing for the game costs money and it costs money to package the game and turn it into discs and put it in stores. And so that's part of the budget that we're talking about. I don't really understand why that's had to become news. I get that the $500 million is the biggest number we've ever heard, but why for the first time ever do we have to talk about the entire encompassing package when movies and games and whatnot have been doing this for so long? It's never been this kind of discussion as it has been lately this week with Destiny. So I just think that it's kind of a weird thing. Again, not bad, just sort of surprising. So I guess when you think of why the game probably cost this much, one of the first things that really comes to mind is the fact that basically the overall structure of the game and what we know this game is. What do we know about Destiny? It's a persistent online world. It's effectively its own first-person shooter version of an MMO. Now, this isn't the first game to try it. Defiance was a game that tried it, I think, last year. The game that was kind of like a TV show. PlanetSide, very well known for this kind of concept. A lot of stuff have done this before. A lot of very large arenas for things like, an online first-person shooter, cooperative or competitive. Destiny is a little bit different. It's more akin to something like PlanetSide, where it is a persistent world, again, like an MMO, that apparently is running 24/7 around the clock. And all these different, what are they called? I think instances is what they're called in MMOs, stuff like WoW and Guild Wars and whatnot, where, events happen, scheduled events, scheduled raids, the first person, equivalent of a raid and things like that are going to be happening, and all sorts of things can just drop in all of a sudden because, Bungie is going to be consistently monitoring and creating these events online within their own persistent world for Destiny. Now, one thing I got to say is, I'm not going to lie, I'm very excited for Destiny. So everything I just explained there, even though I'm not a traditional MMO guy at all, and trust me, I've tried, that excites me. The idea of everything going on in Destiny, how they're trying to create this, the fact that it's a first-person shooter. I'm a sucker for first-person shooters. I have no problem admitting it. Also, I loved all the Halo games, so I really like Bungie and believe in their style of first-person game. I believe in all this stuff, so I do think that Destiny sounds cool. It's going to be worth the investment, worth the time. I firmly believe in it. I cannot wait to plunk down my $60 and pick my copy up when it comes out in September. So that's just me. Now, that's a unique sort of, like they said, infrastructure for this kind of game. So you have to think that obviously that's going to inflate the budget more than your typical shooter, more than your typical online shooter or online game or what have you. But again, to have the budget be this much still makes me wonder what's going on. When games have as massive in scope as WoW, World of Warcraft, and Star Wars: The Old Republic, and so myriad other online games and persistent worlds. Final Fantasy XIV. I mean, how can Destiny be the one game that is just that much bigger or that much more detailed or that much more difficult and expensive to produce compared to those games? That's kind of what's surprising me. Now, I am not the kind of tech guy that really understands the particular details. So if you are watching this video and you do understand that stuff, then you can definitely feel free to explain whatever it is you know and understand down below, because the more information we get, the better. I have no problem being educated on my own videos, and maybe it'll help anyone else who comes along the videos and is also learning this stuff. But regardless, I still think the plain and simple fact is that it is very surprising that Destiny still costs as much as it does. More than your typical shooter? Sure, I get that. I mean, the way they're putting it together, that makes sense. But to be so astronomically high compared to, again, every other persistent world and MMO game ever, it's just baffling. I mean, maybe they really have created this dense and huge of a world. Maybe it's like 6 Skyrim maps all put together the way this happens, plus to be a persistent world online. So maybe there really is that much going on, in which case I actually am even that much more excited for the game. I have no problem admitting that, So we'll have to kind of see. The other thing is, this is an important factor, also something pretty cool, really, is the fact that they see Destiny as hopefully at least a 10-year investment. That's what they're looking at this game as far as how they wanted to continue the reputation and the world and the community that it wants to build and how long it wants to carry that. Something akin to the massive, unstoppable success that WoW was. And it seems like what I'm taking away from this personally is that they're hoping to turn this into the first-person shooters of WoW. They think, or WoW first-person shooters? The first-person shooters of WoW, you know what I meant. That's what I think that they're trying to turn this into, which is certainly a cool idea. And there's a couple of bonuses that actually come from that. Now, this is something I actually read in the comments section to one of the articles talking about this news in the last couple of days. And I don't know who this was. It was just random. I don't even remember what website it was on. But this person mentioned that since they are trying to make it this at least 10-year investment or get as much life out of this game as possible, hence why it's costing so much money, they made a really good point that it's not going to be a series or the type of franchise where we get it shoved down our throats and bombarded with new versions every year, every other year. It's not going to be annualized like Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed. And not even like a Halo. I mean, there's no reason with what they're saying, if it's true and they stick to it, we shouldn't be ever seeing a Destiny 2, like a Destiny Part 2. It should be a decade before we would ever see a traditional sequel. Destiny in and of itself should be enough to sustain itself, the community, probably microtransactions. That's the other thing, is we have to expect that there's going to be money to spend consistently throughout the game. And I got to tell you, the way it sounds like they're putting Destiny together, I'm okay with that personally. I don't think it's doing any sort of backstabbing or taking a step backwards even in the realm of the how you're getting money after the sale, after the initial sale from the customer and the gamer, from us, or as far as like the microtransactions or anything goes. I don't think that they're doing this the wrong way, because there's not a subscription fee. It's $60 for what they're hoping is a 10-year lifelong shooter world experience. You know they're going to release DLC. A lot of it's going to be paid for, so they'll add huge sections of the map, probably for a couple bucks throughout the years. That's fine. If you like the game, it's probably not going to be... It's probably going to be worth it to spend that to get more content. A lot of stuff will probably be free. Maybe you can start to pay if you want a certain gun or a certain outfit and stuff like that. And in a game like this, the way they're putting it together, to me, it doesn't sound like the microtransaction stuff I'm too worried about. I feel like that feels fair because I do think we're going to get a very fully realized $60 experience for that money just right out of the package when we go to pick it up when it comes out. I think that it is going to deliver on that and be enough. So what they seem to be doing makes sense. However, again, a 10-year life cycle, and that's still going to cost $500 million. I mean, upkeep on servers, that's common. Adding expansions and whatnot, that's common. DLC, extra missions, maps, characters, worlds, races of people, things like that have been happening in games again like WoW and Guild Wars and whatnot for years. And we've never heard anything that says those games are anywhere near this budget. So it's really just kind of comes down to the mystery of it all. And that's really kind of even all I sort of have to say on this subject. We don't know. I don't know. Maybe you do, but it seems like a lot of people don't. We just know that between making the game, the upkeep of the servers, and the world that is a persistent online world, and the marketing and all this other stuff, it's going to apparently cost that much money. Now, I haven't seen $500 million worth of marketing for Destiny, but I certainly know about it, so we'll see if that starts to ramp up closer to the release. But regardless, that's the deal. We don't really know why it costs that much. We just know that it apparently does. But again, the good thing, this is the point that I'll leave you on, is that it did sort of give us a lot of really good information about the game that's all positive, such as understanding how much time and effort could be going into the game, how the pricing structure is going to work, how excellent and huge and dense the world is going to probably end up being, all these cool things, about the future prospect, the 10-year prospect that is Destiny. I think it's pretty neat, and I'm really hoping that the game ends up delivering and becomes as exciting as I think it's going to be. And do you think it's going to be exciting? What is it you think about this news, the price, the idea of the online world, Destiny and Bungie, all that stuff? I mean, do you think this makes sense or not? Okay, guys, well, that's it for the Destiny news for today. Thanks, as always, for tuning in. I always appreciate it. If you like what I'm doing and you like Rule of Two Review, you can subscribe to the channel, which, of course, really helps me out in the channel. As you heard in the beginning of the video, thank you so much for hitting 300 subscribers. I really appreciate it, guys, and I'm just going to keep plugging away and see what we do. I enjoy doing this, and I do have a Facebook page for Rule of Two Review, and I do the occasional contests and post some fun things there for the community, so you can follow the links below to the Facebook page, and, of course, I am on Twitter at Rule of Two Review as well. So that's pretty much it. Feel free to like and share the video if you liked it. Talk about anything. Leave your comments below. And thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys next time.